Hi, this is Amy live and uncut with the 7 or 8 habits of ineffective, unproductive grassroots and political action committee leaders. I've got a list, so I'm going to have to refer to this, so bear with me. Number 1, the failure to check the blood supply. We see this a lot with political action committees, is that we're always looking at our funds and determining we need more money, we need more members, more contributors. But are we doing that with grassroots? It's too late to recruit grassroots advocates, particularly quality ones who have relationships with lawmakers when your bill's being voted on. So always checking the blood supply. This is what you need to be doing in the off season. There really isn't an off season, but in the times when you don't have as much legislation and as much activity at that end of your work, that's when we want to really be looking towards recruiting, rejuvenating, training our folks. So check that blood supply. That's number 1. Number 2, assuming you know what motivates your audience. The biggest mistake I see in a lot of issue campaigns and messaging is that we look at what motivates us, what persuades us, and think, well, if it persuades me, it'll persuade my audience. If they know what I know, they'll think what I think. And that's wrong. It's so off base, it's not even wrong. So we always want to do the research and investigate, have an evidence-based approach as to what motivates our audience. Next is transactional leadership. Transactional leadership rather than transformational leadership. So transactional leadership means that I'm asking for stuff, for favors, for action, for contributions from my members. And that's pretty much the extent of it. There's not anything I'm doing to help inspire and transform them, make this experience something that they are so excited about that they go get their friends and say, you've got to do this with me. It changed me, it's going to change you. That's transformational leadership. That's where you want to be, rather than transactional. Next, engaging your volunteers in motivational experiences without next steps. I had an audience member once that said, Amy, we've had some challenges motivating our grassroots advocates, so we took them to the State House and we let them see how opponent legislators actually talk about them and let them see how they favor other interest groups in terms of committee testimony and so forth, and they were really jazzed up after that to go out and make a difference. They were really mad about that. It really helped a lot. I said, great, that's exactly what you need to do. So what'd you do next? What was your next step? He said, well, nothing. They didn't do anything after that. That's the problem. When we motivate our folks and show them the challenges ahead of them, we have to provide next steps. You demotivate people when you get them jazzed up, get them excited, get them invigorated about something, but don't give them next steps. So it's the motivation and then the next steps. He had half of the equation right, so we need the next steps. Next, no commitment escalation for new volunteers. So you've checked the blood supply, you know who needs to be brought into your program, you've got some new people, they're really good, but you're not looking at ways to escalate their commitment, to get them to move up the food chain. You're kind of just happy with them being an e-champion or being on social media, or maybe they do a lot of great work with legislators on the ground in terms of legislator relationships, but they don't attend any of your events. So we need to engage in commitment escalation. How can I get my good people to be even better? The last 2 of 3 have to do with recognition. So a lack of informal recognition is a sign of an unproductive, inefficient leader. We need to informally recognize people. This is a part of transformational leadership. The transactional leader simply asks for things, and the transformational person recognizes when people are doing something right. They catch someone doing something right. It's that informal recognition that you give 365 days a year that makes more of a difference than the annual gala recognition event. Although that is my next tip, is that the formal recognition is important as well, because that translates to the organization what's important to you as a grassroots program and what's valuable to the organization, meaning that our recognition of our top performers is valuable, advocacy is valuable, contributing to the PAC is valuable, having lawmaker relationships is valuable. So the formal recognition is important, but we want to do that in concert with the informal. And since I couldn't stop at 7, had to include one more. So the 8th one is no feedback on your operations. A lot of times we'll do surveys and get feedback on our issue positions and how the volunteers feel about those things. I hope you're doing that. You should be doing that. If not, get on that. But we don't really ask them about the customer service aspect of what we do. And are they, do they find our materials timely and readable, and do they comprehend what we're communicating to them? What about at our events? Are those good experiences for them? Are we responding to them in a timely manner? So the feedback on operations, I think, is really important as well. You're in the customer service business. You are asking volunteers to give you their time and or money with no immediate return on investment, with no tangible result for them. That's a big ask. It's a big persuasion and motivation challenge. So integrate some of these tips and you'll be a more productive grassroots or pack leader. Thanks. This is Amy, live and uncut.